Bostonian is Matt Perrault.
This is our city.
The book is Dave Sherapan.
Pay him. Pay that man his money.
Together, they are the Bostonian versus the book.
You covered 12. I covered.
Follow the show on Twitter at Boston versus the book.
How do you like them apples?
Bringing you the best insight on sports betting news, Matt and Dave's daily picks, and an entertaining and unfiltered dive into the sports betting industry. Here's Dave Sherapan and Matt Perrault.
And here we go.
Oh, it's an early version of the Bostonian versus the book. Get up, West Coast. Wake up. You guys at lunch on the East Coast, how are you? Welcome into a Wednesday where we are on early. Dave Sherapan and Matt Perrault. We got some BPS business to take care of today.
Like that.
So we're on early. It's 9:35 on the West.
Looks good. And you froze right off the top. Outstanding. I'm Dave Sherapan. He's Matt Perrault. He's frozen. Mikey Awesome will take a picture of that. Put it in the Discord. It's the BVBshow.com. Snap your fingers. He's
Already?
back. Thank goodness.
Already. Sorry.
Yeah.
My gosh, that's not a good sign for today. Early in the morning, maybe busy internet. I don't know. Well, hopefully that's not going to be the sign for what's going to happen. We're live on YouTube and on Twitter at Boston versus the book. Replayed on Sirius XM channel 159 and on Sports Grid Television each and every single night, 6 nights a week on Sports Grid, where you see Dave a lot already.
Yeah.
We will be joined today by a guy. We've been trying to get this dude on the show for a while.
Yeah.
We haven't gotten this guy in the show for a while. He is one of the reasons why the show became a reality. Mr. Chris Grove, sports betting investor, will join us to talk about Illinois passing their progressive tax bill that is really being the talk of the talk right now in the sports betting space if you're from the business standpoint, right? I mean, this is one of those like rut-row type moments. Like, okay, is this going to be the norm or is this just an anomaly?
We'll find out.
Right.
A lot of people have an opinion about it. A lot of people have seen it. I mean, I read the story. Altruda did an unbelievable job with the story. They tried to pass it, then not pass it, then re-vote and have another vote, and it didn't go till 4:41 a.m. I don't even know how they do this. Like, it doesn't make any sense. We don't have the structure to the. Do you remember the Robert Rules of Order? Is it called the Robert Rules of Order? What is it called? When you had to learn them for student council and how to make a motion and all the second motion, and it's the something rules of order. Okay. I know we'll have somebody in here
let the chat come at it and
but
check and figure it out.
There's so many procedures and ways to get a pull vote and make a vote, and a guy didn't push a button, and then it had to come back. Go read Altruda's story on Sports Handle. It was fascinating. And now the books in Illinois are going, okay, what do the numbers mean? And hopefully Chris will help explain that. But yeah, it'll be good to see Grove. I haven't seen Grove for a while. And Grove said yes. So that's what we'll talk to Grove about that. But there's the story. It's going.
It's going to be signed.
This is more of a rubber stamp than anything, right?
Yes. Yep. It's a formality. It's going to get signed into law. The progressive tax rate we talked about yesterday about the fact that FanDuel and DraftKings could be looking at over 145 million more tax dollars taken out of their pockets per year, where everybody else who's operating in the states will pay about 25 million more combined for the tax rate that they'll be in. But this 40% tax rate, this progressive based upon how much money you make in the state. Somebody said to me yesterday, and I'm curious, we'll get to it with Chris later, but just at the top, is it wrong that if you make more money, you pay more taxes? Is that wrong?
That's a whole life discussion.
I didn't know how to answer it because I was like, well, that's the argument in American politics, and we don't need to go into it, but that's always the argument in American politics where like if I'm paying 30% of my income and I make $60,000 a year, how is that fair if someone who's making $600,000 is paying 3% of their income? So like the percentage of all of that. So like we're into kind of a really mucky water type of thing and American politic type of thing.
Yep.
But I don't know if it's fundamentally unfair if they had put this in place in the beginning. I think my problem with it is you've moved the goalposts after you've already taken the money for the license, had them invest in the business, had them hire people, build out offices, build out sports books, get the infrastructure built with the application, have budgets be placed, have income in targets, put down on spreadsheets, and then just say, no, like, no, we're going to do it all differently now.
Yeah. And I think on the reverse, you get the argument that politicians were told that it's a low margin business and we're only going to hold 5%, 6%. So you can't tax us at a ridiculous number because we're only going to hold it, so many amount of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And then they see the reports and they go, well, what is this? You told us you were going to hold 5 to 6%. We believed you. Now you're holding 16%, 15%, 12%. So you're making double what you said you were going to make. But, they hit everybody with the same game parlays. And they're basically doing blood transfusions. They're taking it out of people in not milliliters, not a drip. They're basically just take all of it. We'll just get new customers. The business model that they sold was the business model that's been established for decades by most books here in Nevada and bookies, offshores, whomever. You don't need to do the same game parlay product that they've peddled upon a lot of people is different. So the lawmakers are going, all right, yeah, you guys got us. Now we're going to get you.
Okay. I haven't heard it put that way. That's really interesting.
Yeah. So
you're actually not really against.
It's like the players and the owners in the baseball. Nobody believes anything that either side says right now.
Fair.
There's a level of distrust.
Fair.
And all anybody wants to say is, can't we all just make money? There's no taxes without the books.
Correct.
There's no legality
without the government,
without the legislators. Like, can't we just come to some agreement? Well, we thought we did.
Right. But the agreement is, all right, by your explanation, the books are in the wrong because they lied at the start.
Well, the legislators believed them.
Well, but it's still a lie, right? If they knew what their game plan was going to be and they told them,
I don't think they did know completely.
Okay. So why did they change to flip to the
and said we have to hold more money? We're spending so much money. We can't make it
right
on 5% because we're not really good at booking the games. We're outsourcing it anyway.
Because some books are making it by holding 5%, or at least attempting to make it by holding 5%, right?
Well, that's what there's not a book in Nevada that's held more than I don't know in my 20 years here.
Mm-hmm.
I can go back and look. That's held 10% ever in a year, ever. I mean, unless every game went their way and they had really good people doing it, because you have parlay handle,
right?
But it's. I mean, for a high, it's 30% of your handle. Well, the same game parlay handle. If it's 50% or more of your overall handle,
mm-hmm.
you're going to hold more.
So is that, in your opinion, is it appropriate what the state did? Is Illinois right to come back and say, wait a minute, we thought you were going to make X and we're going to tax you at such, but you're taking so much more money out of the state and you're making so much money off of us, and you have agreed to pay 51% without any deduction in New York, and you're paying that and you're willingly paying that, and yet we're sitting here at 20%. We look like suckers and we don't really appreciate that. So we're going to rewrite this because it's time to play ball for real. And now we know what you're doing. So let's pass this appropriately. In FanDuel and DraftKings, you guys cannot dominate and take out every dime, because right now those two books are going to operate in the 40% tax bracket. You make the most, you pay the most.
I can see both sides.
Okay.
That's what, you have to look at both sides and you go, well, why would they do this? Well, they're doing this because they see the numbers now. They understand the product. Now, they're at fault for not doing this before. All they had to do was ask. All they had to do was ask a neutral party. The legislators and the lobbyists, whomever pushed all this through, New York didn't buckle on the 51%. Pennsylvania went high and said 36%. The book said yes. The ones that already did and made it operator friendly, like Michigan, 5%, Iowa, 10%, Indiana, I believe, is 12. Maybe it's 8. It's 2 more or less than Iowa. I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
They all did it for a reason. They had to do less. The biggest, the BSDs knew, the big swinging ones knew we're going to put it the rate at this. They're going to say yes. Okay. Well, they did.
So
why would Illinois top 5 for
but they're not
right,
but they're in the Midwest, and they are, I mean, there are Democrats there and people who like to have high tax rates, but they are concerned about having too high of a tax rate because they want to stay in office. In New York, it's a little bit different. In New York and Massachusetts and places, New Jersey and whatnot, like, it's called Taxachusetts for a reason. Like, they're okay with passing high tax rates. Illinois is a bit more sensitive to that, being in the Midwest. So I get why they tried to be more friendly, more business friendly with a lower tax rate, until somebody popped up and said, you know how much money they're making off of us? Like, guys, they're paying 51%. Look what New York is making tax rate wise. Look at us. We're chumps.
Again, there's always a move behind a move.
Okay.
The move behind the move, and we'll ask Chris about this, is the iGaming,
which is Chris's big. That's his
Chris
big topic.
Has been talking about this for years,
for a long time. So
right,
and you called it the Trojan horse. Sports betting was always the Trojan horse to iGaming.
It always was. It always will be. This isn't the business. There's a bigger business behind this business.
So is a tax rate being set up in order to have it be high once iGaming goes legal? Okay. Well, we'll get into that probably in 15 minutes here when Chris comes on.
Yep.
Report.
Do you think? Let's ask the chat real quick, and you guys can type it. Thank you guys for being here. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Do bettors care about the book's tax rate?
Absolutely not. Only if it affects price.
I don't even think they care then.
Well, I think some people are becoming more educated on price sensitivity, but I think
right,
for the most part, they're not going to care. As long as they're not paying, if the reason is, well, now we have 20-cent lines. Why? Because of the tax rate. Then people will care. If it's, 15-cent or 10-cent lines and it stays relatively in the margins for what a player is willing to pay, no, they don't care what the books have to pay.
Right.
Doesn't change their life at all. Doesn't change their handicap, business, playing, nothing. They could care less. See, you're on something. No. Straight no.
Yeah.
They don't care what the books have to pay.
There's not one person that will say yes in this chat right now watching the show.
Unless they were
watching it on the replay.
Yeah. Only if they're working for a book and then their job might be in jeopardy.
Well, you think this will cost jobs?
It could. I mean, you may have to downsize. I mean, it just depends on what your bottom line is going to be, right? I mean, if it impacts people in the space, if it impacts jobs and what they spend in marketing, and I think people might care about that if you're directly tied to a book in some form or fashion. Like if I'm a sales rep for a local TV station and FanDuel is my client, and FanDuel spend goes from $20,000 a month to $10,000 a month, I care. I'm not happy about that at all.
Right.
So it just depends upon what they're going to wind up doing it.
Right.
If they pass, right, Chris, right. If they pass it along to the customer, then people will care. But if they don't do that, I don't think people would really care. Yeah. So Cal, you're right. Not all of them are at 20. Are all books at 20-cent lines? Not every book's at 20-cent lines.
I mean, for a lot of things, the prices have changed. So, I mean, I'd have to go through and look, and there's
all of them, right?
We're going to be able to do some different things with some different odds and people, providers, and all this other stuff. And we'll get to that in a little while, but it's not going down. It's not going down.
And that's
the prices aren't going down.
And that's probably the biggest pushback that I've seen online about all this is people say, look, tax rates don't go down. So if you go to 51%, you go to 40%, where are you going to go? How much higher are you going? You going to 45? You going to 55, 60%? Like, where do you go as you start to raise taxes? Taxes are rarely ever dropped on companies like this. So if you're at 40 and 51, where do you go from there?
Right.
55, 60, like what are we talking about from tax rate? So that's one of the questions.
I mean, that's it. They can't go higher.
I don't know. That's what people worry about, right? They're like, wait. So we'll get to Chris here in about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Report came out this morning from a TV station in Louisville that the charges against Scotty Scheffler will be dropped today as new audio does come out that is pretty interesting. I don't know if you heard it or not, Dave, but it's Scotty basically explaining he didn't think the guy who was waving at him was a cop. And the cop said, we have these yellow jackets on. And he was like, yeah, but there's other guys out there who are not police officers who are also wearing yellow jackets. So I didn't know the guy who was yelling at me was a police officer. And the guy was like, well, if a guy in a yellow coat is waving you down, why wouldn't you stop? And Scotty's like, I didn't know who the guy was. I was afraid. I'm trying to get the golf course. I'm late for my tee time. I have to go. And the cop is like, if someone in a yellow coat is waving you down, why don't you stop? And Scotty was like, I didn't know who he was. So the cop is saying, like, if anybody in a yellow coat is waving somebody down, that's like now carjacking 101 in Louisville. Like, you just put on a yellow coat and you have to stop if anybody's waving you down in Louisville. Like, Scotty clearly says, if I knew he was a cop, I would have stopped. I didn't know he was a cop. It's a really interesting conversation. So look, this would be the best outcome. If this report is correct, that we're dropping charges, neither side's going to sue each other, and we just move on.
Right.
That's for the best, right? Just get rid of this story and move on and forget it ever happened.
I guess. I mean, I'm so like, I'm not interested in this. I can't. I mean,
the guy shot a 66 and then a 70. He could have won the tournament.
It's a golf tournament.
Oh, it's a golf tournament, but it's a major. It's a major golf tournament. This cop had a dramatic impact. Look,
there'll be other golf tournaments.
I hope so. I hope that we don't have this happen again, but I always get worried about.
I'm more concerned with like just getting the procedure right. What are you supposed to do in this situation? Because if you're not Scotty Scheffler, what happens?
The cop says he's got a cut down his leg, and Scotty was like, I didn't know what he was doing. I stopped as soon as he shined the flashlight in my face. I stopped. I didn't know what he was doing. I didn't mean to hit him. He just ran at my car. I didn't know what's going on. And he's like, am I going to, he's like, what's going to happen next? Guys, the cop's like, well, it's up to the police officer if you're going to jail or not. And Scotty's like, can I talk to him? Can I apologize? And he's like, no, you can't talk to him. So like, it was up to the cop who he had the altercation with to determine whether or not Scotty was going to be arrested.
Yeah.
That's odd to me. Like, we don't do judge and jury right there on the scene. Like, what are we doing? Like, it's just, I don't know. I agree. It's a major golf tournament, CBW. I don't know. I mean, he was in a PGA branded car on top of that. The number one golfer in the world in a PGA branded car. One of the weirdest stories ever from a sports betting perspective. You bet Scotty Scheffler. I don't know how in the world you're like, that is extremely bad luck. And you cannot, you cannot handicap for that by any means as to what happened there. So we'll see if it happens during the show. There's a press conference scheduled for it, but that audio is, I don't think Louisville wants to go to court with that audio being out there.
Well, I mean, hopefully that's the result, right? Like it just goes away.
Yeah. Just drop it and go away. Just drop it and have it go away. And then, because Scotty he said he's going to sue. If they press charges, he's going to sue and go to court. So with this audio being out, there's enough of a reasonable doubt as to an over anxious police officer and some of the things that were said to Scotty about his own behavior. He's like, look, I stopped. Like, what do you, I didn't know. I was scared. Like, I'm shaking. Can't you see this? I'm shaking. I'm late for a tee time.
Right.
So we'll watch that and see what happens. See if it comes out during the show. What happened last night? The T-Wolves stay alive with a 105-100 win at Dallas, back to Minnesota for Game 5. Does this have to be the version of Cat for Minnesota to win again? Because he broke out of the slump. He played as well as he's played in the postseason. Cat and Ant both combined for 54 of the 105 points for the Timberwolves last night. Is that the only way they win another game in this series if both their two superstars have epic games?
I mean, that helps. They can't win without him, but it's not he doesn't have to do that exactly. He has to be a contribution. He can't be a negative. Has to be at least a neutral or a positive.
I think the answer is yes. I think the only way they win is these two dudes are the best two guys on the floor. They're role players. Like Naz Reid led them in scoring 2 games ago. Like you can't have guys like that. They can't have a Naz Reid lead you in scoring. You have to have Karl Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards must be your 2 best players on the court. You're in the Western Conference Finals. Your superstars have to be superstars. It's great to have the role player,
right?
But Cat finally played like we know he's capable of playing, and the role players did what they're supposed to do. They filled in the gaps. They did. Right. They played their role well versus being a leader. It was Anthony Towns and it was Anthony doing what they needed to have done to get the game to a pace perspective, which I thought was interesting because the game went under, Dave. 3 games went over. We talked about it yesterday. It felt like this was the game that was going to go under. It was bet up to 211.5 at close. And then the game in-game was down pretty much below 200 for in-game. Yeah, it came down pretty low. Does it go back to pace in game 5?
I mean, the number would dictate no. It's the same number. You bump it. I think what's the adjustment? A point?
Yeah.
Like 209.5, kind of the number. So I don't think so. Again, it's a couple days away, and I know we're talking basketball and stuff, but I'm not checked out of.
It's so strange because I'm checked out on hockey. You're checked out on basketball. It's interesting.
I'm not checked out. I'll talk about it on the day of the game. I didn't watch much of the game. I was so glued to the hockey.
Yeah, I was a complete opposite. I was glued to the basketball. I watched hockey. I followed the hockey. I knew what was going on.
Yeah.
But I wasn't glued. I was glued to the game. I wanted to see because I haven't bet hockey in 3 days now. I've just bet basketball. And I was on the Timberwolves money line last night. So I was like, okay, let's see if we can cash a plus ticket on Minnesota.
Right.
And all the narratives, no basketball for 9 days. They put Scott Foster into the game. I was more interested, but then I was watching the split screen in overtime because we'll get to the Florida game in a second, but that was obviously in overtime. I know there's hockey, JPC. That's how checked out I am. I thought there wasn't hockey tonight. I said it on the Daily Juice.
Literally added it in an afterthought to the rundown.
To the rundown too. I had to go back.
I was going to bury you.
I forgot. It's a big Oilers game. I know one snap. I mean, our guys in Edmonton are all upset with me because I'm just like, hockey. It's just it hasn't been profitable for me. I'm the different. My NBA betting and my hockey betting are just very different right now. I'm winning. I'm making money in basketball. I'm losing money in hockey. So I'm going to stop betting when I'm losing.
It's so funny because I opened up the email with the rundown and I was like, did he purposely leave the hockey off?
I didn't purposely.
And then boom comes the email add on. And I'm like,
I forgot. Yeah, I did. There's no debating. I absolutely completely forgot.
I knew I've talked to you literally every day for almost 3 years.
I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to forget. I did.
10 days.
And I forgot on the juice last night too. I literally said, I'm only betting baseball today because there's no hockey or basketball. I literally said that. And obviously there's a game 4 tonight. So that's kind of where I am.
I knew that was the case. So that's fine.
Okay.
But we'll get to that after. Is Chris here?
Mr. Chris Grove is with us. Yes. Joining us here for the first time on the Bostonian versus the Book. Chris Grove, how are you, my friend? Welcome to the show. First time bringing you on. It shouldn't have been the first time you're joining the show because you had a large part in this show becoming a reality. But thank you for joining us. How are you on this Wednesday?
Yeah, long time coming. How are you guys?
Where are you?
I'm in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada.
Oh, you're in town. Very cool.
Yeah.
So where you live, well, you split here in Chicago.
Yeah.
Wanted to bring you on because obviously what happened this morning and last night in Chicago has got the attention of a lot of people. This progressive tax rate that is going to go, looks like it's going to go into reality here, where the 2 big main operators are going to pay a lot of money, a lot more money in tax. Is this a good thing? Is this a dangerous thing? Where are you and what Illinois is about to do with their tax rate?
So first of all, I think it's important to underline that this is a tax increase for everybody, right? DraftKings and FanDuel are going to bear the brunt of it, but it's not as if there was some new low end created on the tax rate that was going to enable additional competition from the smaller guys, which I think is the ideal. When we talk about the ideal way to enact a progressive tax structure like this, it accomplishes two things: raises additional revenue for the state by putting more of the burden on the overperformers, but also opens up a door on the lower end for challenger brands to come in and be able to have a little more maneuverability, a little more flexibility in the market. Unfortunately, we didn't see that in Illinois. So I think that's where they really missed the mark. Tax rate for everybody and absolutely no opening for a younger brand, a newer brand, an innovative brand to come in and have a little bit more economic flexibility with a lower tax rate on the bottom end of that progressive scale.
Did they lower the price of the licenses for the lower upscale new guys at all?
Not to the best of my knowledge. I know there is a push to do that because you do have some licenses just sitting there in Illinois. I think they overestimated the demand for licenses in Illinois. And again, that's another opportunity to have selfishly, I'll throw a sport trade out there as an example, since we're investors, to create a path for a sports book like Sport Trade, which is clearly differentiated product, to come into the market, shake things up a little bit and create a little more competition, a little more choice for consumers, which is not something that consumers in Illinois really have right now.
Do operators want to come in with an announced higher tax rate or a progressively higher tax rate? Like, what's the incentive right now, Chris, for a new operator like Sport Trade, who I love the business model and talked to Alex about it for years now, but this is good. What's the incentive? Is someone seeing it as a positive, as an opening today, going, let's get in Illinois now because they're getting the big guys with a higher tax rate?
No, I don't think so. I think that you have that as positive weight on the side of the scale, that you do have maybe a little less flexibility for DraftKings and FanDuel to market, to do promos, et cetera, because of the increased tax rate at the top end. But remember, the bottom end increased as well. And so Illinois is already a relatively expensive place to do business. You add the license fee on top of that, and you've got a lot of barriers there. I don't think that Illinois will be the first choice for a brand looking to expand. And now, look, it's a big state. It's attractive. And especially for someone like a Sport Trade that takes more of a commission-based approach, the trading culture that's present in Chicago, that's present in Illinois, makes it maybe uniquely attractive. But for most new sports books that are looking at the map, Illinois is not a first choice, probably not even a second choice in terms of the states that they're going to prioritize if they're starting from zero or a small number of states status quo.
Chris, how much did the books make it difficult on themselves? Because both Mass and Illinois have referenced the New York 51% tax rate.
Yeah.
That they're willing to pay it in New York. And so cities like Boston and Chicago, which clearly, they're not as big as New York, but they like to consider themselves major metropolitan areas, saying, hey, we've got millions of people too. You guys are willing to pay that tax rate, so we want you to pay something similar. How hard is it for the books to say, well, we're really against this, given what they're paying in New York?
You got to defend Chicago a little bit there, Matt. They don't just like to consider themselves as a major metropolitan area. I think they are, by any definition, a major metropolitan area. But absolutely, the sports books made the bed. Now they have to lie in it. The interest in getting something done in New York and opening up that market, because everyone wanted a major market. Texas was a couple of years away. California was just an absolute cluster, and Florida was opaque, to say the best. So everyone's zeroed in on New York as this is the one of the four big states where we can get something done, demonstrate we can get something done, unlock a large market. And they swallowed a ridiculous tax rate as the price of getting that market open. And at the time, everyone was, I think, in more of a short-term mode in terms of how they're thinking about the impacts. We're thinking more about how we generate immediate growth, increase the TAM, increase the map, players that have access to these products. And no one really, for whatever reason, thought through that next step of, if you go into New York and you accept a 51% tax rate and the sky doesn't fall, inevitably other states are going to look at that and say, we can do that too. But I think there's a second way in which the industry made their bed here, and now they're having to lie in it in Illinois, and it may be the same kind of bed that they have to lie in subsequent states. We're now almost 2 years into a wave of very negative coverage surrounding the steady march of legal sports betting across the U.S. I think it kicked off with Ken Vogel's four-parter in the New York Times about 18 months ago now, something like that. And at the time, I think there was some discussion, maybe this is passing, maybe this is a fad, the media will move on to other topics. Not so, right? I think we've seen this steady drumbeat of negative coverage. And to be honest, the industry just has not done an optimal job in countering that coverage and creating a positive narrative around sports betting. Always on the back foot, never on the front foot, seemingly not as coordinated as it could be in terms of, again, telling a more positive story about this industry. And as a result, that creates a political opening for these kinds of bills. In subsequent states, we may see these bills packaged as part of a broader consumer protection, maybe limitations on marketing, right? All these kinds of openings that allow for the tax rate to be revisited. But in Illinois, I think you had an example of who was willing to stand up and support this industry in the face of a proposed hike to tax rates, who's willing to stick their neck out and defend the industry. I think a lot of politicians were less willing to do so simply because there wasn't much to be gained. This is increasingly an unpopular product, an unpopular industry. That just leaves it more and more vulnerable to these kinds of increases on the tax rate side.
Is any operator making money in New York, Chris?
I think DraftKings says they are. I think FanDuel says they are. Look, if you have enough market share, a high tax rate is overcomable, especially if you're a national operator, you're operating at scale, right? Tax rates are overcomable, but you do have to have an amount of scale that's really only possible in a monopoly or a duopoly. So very difficult for operators down the chain to show any kind of profit, let alone substantial profit in the New York market.
Mike, Chris, is a question from Mike here. I think it's pretty interesting. It says, do you think there's a scenario where state X raises tax rate X% and a top four operator, I'm assuming he means DraftKings, FanDuel, BetMGM, Caesars, or maybe Fanatics,
probably Fanatics,
actually decides to pull out? Short of that, what could reverse a rising tide with a tax rate? Anything?
I'd be surprised if you see a top four operator pull out. You may see some operators, again, down the chain who have decided sports betting is more of an amenity product for me. I'm a retail operator. If I can offer sports betting, great. Really, I'm here to see if online casino gets any traction, and that's the product I'm more focused on. A top four operator pulling out would be a challenge, only because those top four operators, all publicly traded, all have made some promises to the market, right, regarding growth, regarding profitability as well. So there is a little bit of a give and take there. To the second part of the question, I know this sounds like maybe a nothing burger of an answer, but I'll go back to the way that the industry made their bed here. There has to be a more concerted, a more logical, a more well-executed effort by the major trade orgs for this industry to not just play defense when the attacks come, but to go on the offense and fill that vacuum, that narrative vacuum around online sports betting, and explain the positives of the product, the economic impact on the positive side, the job creation on the positive side, where the tax revenue goes, what it accomplishes, the channelization from the illegal market into the legal market. And I'm not saying no one is making these arguments, but it's clear that these are not arguments that are the highest priority for the trade groups that represent the casino industry. It's also clear that sports betting is not the highest priority for every stakeholder who is participating in the industry. Getting that cleaned up, getting a more focused, more energized, and a more aggressive lobby on the side of telling the positive story of sports betting and making it a product that more lawmakers and more voters are inclined to support or think positively of. That's a big part of how you build that bulwark against additional tax increases in subsequent states.
Isn't it all just to get into the iGaming? Like, this is still, there's positives to sports betting, and you can find them on both sides. I think you don't have to talk about that it's going to break everybody and the books are greedy. Everybody's greedy in all of it. But isn't there a real motive to get to the iGaming? You've talked about it for years, since we first met, and you greenlit this show. You've been talking about the iGaming. The politicians know, they're starting to listen, a couple of them, going, we better get this tax rate up now, because that iGaming, that's the real business. The gigantic number, it's not an amenity. Sports betting can be viewed as an amenity, but isn't iGaming the ultimate goal?
I think the new BVB shirt should be everyone's greedy. I like that. Put that in the shop.
BBB, everybody's greedy.
Everybody's greedy. Put it in the shop.
Fair, right?
If we were having this conversation 10 years ago, I would have been way more in agreement with you, right? Because both of us would have been coming from the Las Vegas sportsbook model, where sports betting has 5-6% hold and generates maybe 3% of GGRs, the milk at the back of the store, from a Las Vegas perspective, right? I think what we've seen over the last 5 years since this industry got to scale, rolled out in a meaningful number of states, you've seen that blended hold rate increase steadily. This is no longer a 5-6% hold product. This is closer to an 8-9% hold product, and that's blended across all states, all products. And at the upper end of the product set with SGPs, et cetera, you're seeing structural hold rates that are closer to 10, 12, maybe even 15%. And you're seeing consumers who are interested in those products, right? No one's being forced to play them. This is a product that a big segment of the betting public says, yeah, that's for me. I want a carnival game. I want a lottery ticket. That's the sweat that I'm interested in. That's the action I like. So as we move more in the direction of a 10% plus hold product, and also as we can increase the velocity of sports betting, right? More data, more markets, so more opportunities to bet. It's not just totals on Sunday, but you can really get more effectively like pulls of the slot machine. You get a higher velocity product. We're definitely moving in the direction of a product that on its own, profitable, sustainable. And if you look at European markets, it's not as if the split between sports betting and online casino is 80-20. It's a much tighter mix than that, depending on the market that you look at. It's not usually 50-50, but it's something closer to 55-45, 60-40, right? So you mix all of that together, and then you consider the fact that I can't point to a state where we're odds on to get an online casino bill in the next 1, 2, 3 years. Just can't. Wow. So all of that suggests to me you're going to see sportsbook operators push more and more in the direction of high hold, high velocity products. And as they do and structural hold increases, as long as players don't balk, right? As long as consumers don't burn out or say, actually, yeah, I was interested in doing that once or twice, but realistically, what I want are totals futures, right? Spread, and that's it. Yeah. As long as those things don't happen, you end up with sports betting being on its own in the US, large, viable, profitable, not for every operator, but certainly if we stay in the world where DraftKings, FanDuel are near as it makes no difference, 75% of the market, pretty profitable for them.
Chris, I've referenced something that you've talked about on this show a lot about the idea that one day there may be a sports book. And I know I've seen it in the prop market, but we haven't seen it per se in the market for sides and totals, where a sports book will only offer same game parlays or only offer a pre-populated grouping of bets that you don't get to choose. You're not choosing first five or full game totals. They're doing it for you. Do you think that model could be sustainable given what you're talking about, that if the public is going to ask for it, that there could be somebody who simply just offers their own pre-populated parlays?
Yep. I think one thing I talk about with people a lot as a thought experiment is what would happen if you just dropped the current Prize Picks product into Ohio tomorrow? Nothing else, right? Just the current Prize Picks fantasy product. Drop that into the Ohio market tomorrow as a regulated online sports book. So they get the license. They drop the current product into the market. What do you think the market share for that product is? And I can tell you that most people consistently answer somewhere between 5 and 10%. That's the market share you'd be looking at almost overnight. Give them a couple months to ramp up and for people to realize it exists, right? So more figuratively overnight than literally overnight, but in a short period of time. Consumers have shown us again, yeah, we like these products, and maybe that stripped down version, that simple version is the appropriate way to handle it, rather than giving someone choice upon choice upon choice upon choice. Maybe just do give them a subset, a segment. And what you may see, and this is something I've talked to regulated books about and raised the question, and I think it's on their minds. Remember, there's slack market access in a number of states. Right, Penn has extra licenses. Caesars has extra licenses. We're no longer seeing the premium for market access in a number of states, not all states, but in a number of states that we were seeing 4 or 5 years ago. You also got a U.S. market. It's so big. It's inconceivable to me that any one brand is flexible enough to resonate with, to connect with all of the consumers in the market. Right. So I think there's a world in which a Caesars, a Penn, an MGM, or maybe even a DraftKings or a FanDuel says, we're going to open a second brand. We're going to target a younger demographic because I think all these brands are a little stale. I think if you talk to people 30 and under, none of these brands really feel like they're for that demographic. They're all a little older than that. And the question is just like, is it for my older brother, my uncle, my dad, or my grandparents in terms of the scale of relevance of these brands? So I think there could be a world where one of those operators goes, yes, we're going to launch a second brand. It's 30 and under, and it's a slimmed down version of products that we know are really resonating with that demographic. Easier said than done, but I do think that is on the minds of at least some operators.
Where do you stand then if that's the case? I mean, I've seen you play poker on television. I've seen you be in the business. Yeah. You did good that day. I was texting you the pictures. How do you tell someone with a straight face that product's a good product? That's like telling your kid to smoke in that regard. I mean, listen, I know you're interested in it. Yeah. I know you're interested in it, but go ahead and do it. You're not going to win. 100% you're not going to win. You know it. I know it. I got kids. I wouldn't tell them to do a same game parlay ever in my life. I've turned down jobs because they required me to give a same game parlay. I said, how do I say this is good? We got content people. We got experts. We got everybody in this space that, they're amazingly on Twitter. They're all winning gamblers. But how would you tell them this is good? You should do this. As an operator, I'd be like, we really going to do this? Like, these are kids. They're under 30. They ain't even got no money. How is this a good thing, Chris?
Yeah, well, they made all the money from the crypto. As far as I can tell. So there's plenty of just crypto money sloshing around there. Look, good is an interesting concept here, right? Different people bet for different reasons. From a value perspective, yeah, the bets are not good. Right? Capital N, capital G. Not good from a value perspective. These are almost never going to be plus EV in the situations where they are. Those are the exceptions that prove the rule. But I'll tell you, Dave, when I played that poker tournament that you're referencing, it was a funny one. It was an influencer tournament, and Fliff was the sponsor. The people they were supposed to put in dropped out, and so Fliff called me and said, "Hey, we have an extra seat. You want to feel really old for a day?" And I said, "Yeah, I love feeling really old." So that's what I did. I sat at the Poker Go studios for 7-8 hours with a bunch of 23, 25, 27-year-olds, each with a couple million YouTube followers. And I took the opportunity to do a little field research, right? These people are now trapped next to me. They got to talk to me. They don't really have a choice. And I said, where do you bet when you bet? What are the brands? If you want to put money in play on a sports game, where do you do that? And it really was Prize Picks, Underdog, Fliff, Better. Not a lot of DraftKings, not a lot of FanDuel in there.
No.
Right? Not a lot of Caesars, not a lot of BetMGM. No. I said the same thing that you said, Dave. I said, these products are, from a whole perspective, these products are just, they're garbage, right? And they're like, yes, we absolutely know. We're capable of doing math. We understand. It turns out that hold is a feature, not a bug, right? We're what they want, especially because these are often people who are betting as part of a community, right? So it's your group chat, it's your Discord, whatever. And you don't want to grind out a 5% hold product when you're betting in that environment. That is no fun to watch your bankroll just sort of steadily chip down over time. Right. What is fun is to either lose spectacularly and all commiserate about it, or every once in a while to have like the massive win, enjoy it. And honestly, the feeling of that loss is kind of imperceptible in terms of this is something we're all doing together and having a good time together from the feeling of the win. It's like when we're leaving Vegas, right? And you hear other people on the plane talking about how badly they got beat up at the blackjack table. And they're not saying it like they're pissed and they're never coming back. They're saying it like they're telling a battle story, something they went through with their buddies, and they had a really good time. And that was that. So yeah, not good at all from a whole perspective, an EV perspective, but in terms of the entertainment value, there's definitely a customer base that says, if I'm going to put money in play on a sports game, that's what I want. High volatility, high return, lose most of the time, occasionally spectacular win. But really what I like are the spectacular failures where we got 4 out of 5, where we got so close like that. That's the sweat that they prefer by and large.
See, I'm from a state where scratch tickets are the highest. It's part of our culture in Massachusetts. Like you walk in, you buy a 6-pack of beer, and you buy a scratch ticket. It's a $5 donation. Like you just assume you're hoping one day lightning will strike, but you pretty much know you're going to lose. Is that the mentality we're talking about? That like it's, buy a loaf of bread and a $5 same game parlay and we go off? Like there's no like real expectation of victory. You're not supposed to win when you play it.
I think that's right. And that's why I call them more lottery style games, more carnival style games, because they are not designed to fit that traditional mold of, look, some people, I remember my stepdad was this way with horse racing, right? For some people, the thrill of horse racing is sitting down with the program, applying your system, right? Doing all the work. And that's how you spend your Saturday afternoon. Then you go to the track, you place the bets, but the bets are almost secondary. So that's what some people want, is the process, the research. That's the fun. That's the hobby. For some people, it's just a pure profit motive, right? They're just looking for edge. They're just looking for EV, and that's what they want out of it. And then for some people, we shouldn't forget the vast majority of people, because we exist in our own little bubble where we know a lot of people who bet for a living or who aspire to bet for a living, right? Or who really like the process and are very analytical and very thoughtful about it. And that's what they get out of it. Best I can tell, the vast majority of people who do bets on sports or play fantasy sports for money do so because they find it fun. That's it. It's an entertainment product. And that's when we move out of the territory of good measured in terms of profit potential and move into the territory of good measured in terms of I spent X and I got Y amount of entertainment and I'm comfortable with that exchange. The same exchange you'd make if you bought a movie ticket or you threw a couple bucks at a mobile game or whatever the case was. That's the math they're doing internally. I spent X, I got Y entertainment. I'm good with it.
And it's a part of your life. It's not the only thing you have in life.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, we stress that here. Like, listen, it's good to bet. Just don't do it as the only thing you're doing. Like, be involved, know what's good bets, what's bad bets, but don't just blow your bankroll. All right, last one for me, Chris. Thank you for joining us again and talking about all this stuff. But you just mentioned people leaving Vegas and people talking about getting beat up. Are people getting ticked off here in general about the fees, about the parking, and about this F1 race that's causing so much traffic here, Chris? It's unbelievable what's happening to this city. Talk about greed is good, all this other stuff. It's nuts, is it not? This is not the city that we knew 10 years ago, let alone 5 years ago, let alone what the hell is going on here.
I can't even tell if you're doing a character right now or if you're being genuine.
No,
F1 7 months ago, there's no more traffic.
What do you mean?
It's gone. They took down the overpass bridge.
Chris,
yeah, you and I might have to have words on this one. Look, Vegas has gotten a lot more expensive and a lot less hospitable as a result. I think the only thing that's saving us is so have most of the tourist destinations in the rest of the country.
Yeah.
So I don't know that we're necessarily outpacing a New York, a Bay Area, a Florida, a Disney,
Chicago.
Right? Yeah, everywhere has gotten more expensive. I'm not an expert, and I can't say that Vegas is outpaced, underpaced. As a consumer, everything feels like it's gotten more expensive, and Vegas doesn't really feel like it's accelerating beyond that. Thing I'll say about F1, Dave, you need that international travel for Vegas, right? And there aren't a lot of things that we can put on the calendar, especially in that part of the season, which is typically a relatively dead part. Not a lot of things we can put on the calendar that are going to attract that kind of crowd. And we need that mix. We need high-end international travel to come to the city. We need all parts of America to come to the city. And getting a shot in the arm for international travel post-pandemic, I think critical. I think we're going to look back at this one and go, yeah, it was a massive pain in the ass if you lived here, especially the first time around. I'm going to reserve a little bit of judgment until the second time around. And I'm right in the thick of it. So it's not like I'm isolated out in the suburbs and I didn't feel any of the impact, right? That's all right around me.
Yeah.
Not to dox myself, but live pretty close to the strip. So I'm going to wait for that second year and see if some of that was first year growing pains, teething pains, things they told us they only really need to do once and we bear the second time around. If the second time is as intense as the first, then yeah, Clark County and everyone have to step up and improve the process. But if we bring down the hassle factor a little bit, I ultimately think this is a pretty good thing for the city, especially with the international travel angle.
Yep.
we'll wrap with this kind of along the same lines. What is the market's opinion of the growth for Vegas gambling, all gambling in Vegas? Because we've got so many things. There's videos on Instagram like every day about the growth of the market, the city, bringing new people in here. We have an NBA team that's going to be coming here. We have a Major League Baseball team that's going to be coming here. New resorts are being planned all the time. We've got Fontainebleau that just opened up. We've got a lot of people moving into the market. What does the market, global and domestic, feel about Las Vegas right now?
I think there's a little bit of concern on the locals side. I think we have some look-throughs that suggest the locals market might be softening a little bit. And again, I don't know that that's necessarily out of step with the national economic picture. But look, I think the Strip is about to go through, and I'll talk about the Strip specifically and put downtown to the side as a separate topic. I think we're in a period of renaissance for the Strip. You do get these periods where the Strip turns over periodically, right? You get these waves of development, and then you get static periods, and then you get waves of development. Looks from my perspective like we are in the midst of a wave of development. If you think about the last 12 months, you've got the Sphere opening in that period. You've got Fontainebleau opening. The Trop is going to turn over, although it's not clear if that'll be a casino property or more of an entertainment property when all is said and done. The Mirage, RIP, just went to Craft Steak last night for probably the last meal I'll get to eat there. But that's going to turn over. And as much as we love these things, I'm going to try and walk. I think Hard Rock turned the volcano back on, by the way, which I am excited about it. It was going off last night, so I'm going to walk over tonight and see if I can catch a volcano show as well. As much as we miss these things because they're iconic to us, we spend a lot of time there, it's probably good that we have like a giant garish guitar sticking out of the middle of the Strip, right? That we do need that stuff. And that'll be the landmark that someone else has massive memories of, formative memories of, that they're tearing down 15, 20, 25 years from now. And we need that kind of turnover. And it does seem like we are in one of those periods. Strip does need to reinvent itself periodically. And so I think that's a massive positive momentum. Sphere especially. Yeah. I know we all kind of joked about that and Death Star and what's it going to look like, but people can't get enough of the Sphere. They need to change that damn movie out. Right. Sooner versus later. I don't know if you guys have seen the movie yet, but it's just a stone cold bummer. Like it is not the kind of thing as impressive as it is that you come to Vegas to see. But that was the biggest revenue driver for them. The first turn of financials that were reported wasn't the advertising, wasn't the events. It was the movie. It was the movie.
The movie. I mean, when I landed, I came back to Vegas on Monday night, and I left Boston. And I spent the weekend in New Hampshire. Like I said to Dave, like I just forgot like what the Sphere has added to the skyline. Like you come up into the parking garage and you just go, whoa, like it just looks so different with that big globe of ball burning, whatever it was. It was like a tie-dyed Grateful Dead thing they had going on. Yeah. It just makes the whole Strip look different. The whole skyline has completely been altered and your eyes go directly to it. So it makes sense to do more inside of there. Chris, thank you for the time. This was a lot of fun. Appreciate your coming on. Thank you for the insight. We'll do it again soon. All right.
All right, guys.
Thank you very much. That's Chris Grove joining us, a guy who heavily invested, heavily involved. Oh, sorry, Dave. That's not what I wanted to hit with that. Who was a guy. Look, we told you about Chris. Chris is the guy who said yes to this show to become a reality. So good to get him on for the first show. He never did the show before. We begged him to come on the show. Finally did it.
I'm excited. Maybe the early start time allowed him his schedule to do it.
Oh,
so that might have worked, but there's no BVB without Chris Grove.
Right. Fair.
Literally. That's it's plain and simple. He, we walked around, we talked, we said this, we said that, and he said, let's go. Just do it. And we figured it out. So he's the guy that made it possible and made sure that upon exit and things.
Postcards from Earth, Addison. It's called.
Fair. What's
the
that?
Movie? Postcards from Earth. He's asking what's the movie we're talking about?
Oh, that's playing at the Sphere.
At the Sphere, yeah. Well, what he means by it's spectacular, but it's depressing as holy hell. Like it is slow. It's not Vegas. It's not like an action thrill ride. You're not walking out of there going like, whoa, wow. Like it's not great from a mood perspective. It doesn't put you in a party atmosphere when you come out of it. No, it's kind of like, Whew, that was deep. Like that was heavy. That was not Vegas. That was a tough thing to kind of suffer through. So let's go back to last night. Panthers win in overtime 3-2. The series tied at 2. The leading goal scorer for power play goals in the regular season, Sam Reinhart, does it with a power play goal in overtime. There's just nothing about that puck hitting the crossbar and going in. That sound was unbelievable last night.
Sound.
Ding, goal over. Like
it's the best sound.
It's the slap shot of the ice being hit by the stick, the puck going off of the post and in, and the goal horn sounding in like a split second of all three.
It's the best. And then the explosion of the
fans.
Crowd.
Yeah.
There's it's great that you said that, because I said that to my wife while we were watching the game.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, "What's the big deal?" And I'm like, "You just don't get it. Like, you remember what it was like when, like, you used to come to my games. Like, that sound as a goal scorer is the best. And when your team does it, I watched it 10 times. I rewound it just to listen to the sound. I tweeted the video. That was big.
It's good.
The series is still very much in doubt either way. I mean, the Ranger fans are ready to, start planning to have the Stanley Cup Finals be there. Hold on.
Pump the brakes.
Hold on. I don't know who's going to win the series. Still, there's 3 games left. I have no idea.
Last 3 games, all 1-goal games. Do you expect this series to be that tight the rest of the way?
Yeah. That's the way it's going to be. That was an anomaly, that high-scoring game.
Okay.
So then see that too often.
3 of the 4 games have gone under. 5-4 in game 3 was the one anomaly.
Right.
Do we see unders the rest of the way? Do we see a 5 pop up? We're going to consistently be
it's tough to go to 5 right now.
Right? Because it's 5 and 3-2.
Like,
it feels like 3-2 every game the rest of the way, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, the way Shesterkin's playing, how is it not? And the Panthers are so good. The Rangers went 14 minutes yesterday without getting a shot on goal. What? How is that even possible?
Because 5-on-5, they're better. 5-on-5, the Panthers are better.
Well, I know, but like, you can't even throw the puck at the net. It's while you're watching it, you're going, I really feel like the Panthers should be up more. The whole time you're watching, again, I got that feeling where I'm like, how is this game only 2-1?
Right.
Like, what is that? Until they scored, I was like, they could lose this again. But then once they got that lead, man, they were just, I don't know. I don't know who's going to win. I mean, we could, there's no game today, the Dallas and Edmonton game today, so don't do a poll. But
we'll get to that.
I don't know who's going to win this series. Hockey heads, type it in the chat. Who do you think's going to win this series? I think we'll get a pretty even amount of Rangers or Florida in the chat.
Yeah. By the way, officially, prosecutors dropped all charges against Scotty Scheffler, so that was done today. So we can all move on.
Make that go away.
It's the right move, because they're going to lose everything. He was going to sue them for everything. Like, he was going to win.
Right.
The White Sox lost last night. That's their 7th consecutive loss. They lost 11 of 12. They're now 15-41, Dave. All right. We can start doing a record watch here. The 2003 Tigers were the worst American League team ever. 43-119.
Whew. That was the Mets lost more games than that in 1962.
That's the all-time record. This is the American League record. 43-119 is the American League record.
But that is so bad.
Yeah. 2003 Tigers are the worst.
I mean, the Mets had an excuse in the national. They were an expansion team. The Tigers are they're one of the oldest franchises in the league.
But so are the White Sox, who are 15-41. So Tigers opened up the first half of the year 20-61. 15-41. Do the White Sox have a better record at the halfway point than the 03 Tigers?
Oh, man.
So they've got,
Oh, wow. I don't know. What's going to fix this?
I mean, their division is better than expected. That's the problem, right? So they're playing teams that are
between
the Royals, the Twins, like
the Guardians.
The Guardians.
They're not Royals.
They're not in a bad division.
They're better than expected, but they were going to be good. They're playing better. Like, this is what good teams do they beat the bad teams. Everybody's beating the White Sox, even the other bad teams.
Toronto. I mean, Toronto's whipped them in the first 2 games they play again
Right?
today. They whipped them badly, 7-2 yesterday. They killed them. Like, this is not White Sox don't have pitching, they don't have hitting, and for them to win 6 more games here before they get to, they've played 56 games to get to 81 here. Can they win 6 more games? I don't know. They get there. They may go under at the midway point. They may have fewer wins than the Tigers did.
Games to win over the next 25 games.
I'm not sure they do it.
6-19.
I mean, they had that one little spurt where they got decent. They had that like a 4-game win streak, 5-game win streak. But other than that, they're 15-41, 7 straight, 11 of 12, and they're probably going to lose again today.
We're going to have it like the Ohtani Watch daily. We're going to have the White Sox daily. We're going to have to keep track of this.
Good thing I stopped being a White Sox fan in 05.
Good for you, Jimmy Jack. They won that World Series. That was a fun World Series, man, when they won that.
So we'll watch that. Obviously, we'll come through. Negro League records today, officially part of the Major League Baseball history books.
Where's my hat?
A name you're going to need to know is catcher Josh Gibson.
Yep.
This guy now owns all the records of significance.
Yep.
Batted 372 in a single year. That's better than what we saw with Ty Cobb. 718 slugging is better than Babe Ruth. 1.777 OPS is better than Lou Gehrig. This is the new greatest baseball player of all time, according to MLB record books.
Yep.
Is this going to go over well? Like, I think when people don't know, people didn't see this coming. And then I think now that they know it's here, I wonder how people are going to be like, wait a minute, what do we do? Like, you just changed the whole record books. Like, you incorporated the Negro League records right in, but like, how do you do that? Like, how do you extrapolate what happened in Major League Baseball? Because they weren't playing against each other.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? I don't know how it's going to be received. Like, I've been a student of it. I like to read about it back in the day. I got all the stuff. I love the jerseys. I love the hats. Pittsburgh was a big part of that. The Homestead Grays is Pittsburgh.
Yep.
That's where he played. So, I don't know. The numbers are so absurd, aren't they? Like, when you look at
I agree with Krista. Like, that's nice, but they were different leagues. Like,
they
we're just sort of like merging them together and acting like they were together and saying, okay, Josh Gibson now 372. Talking about the greatest single season, we're talking about 372 now for him for batting average, and talking about 718 slugging. These are career marks. 372 batting average, 718 slugging, 1.77 OPS. These are better than the guys Gehrig, Ruth, and Ty Cobb. They didn't play against each other. I like it, but it's just kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of like when we're talking about the 162 versus the 174 argument, right? So 154. Sorry, 154 versus 162.
Oh, for number of games,
for games, right? It's like when people were saying, like, well, it wasn't Ruth. It really was. It was the home run mark should always have been Babe Ruth because he hit 60 in 154.
Right.
Bonds hit 72 or 73 in 162. So, like, it's different seasons, different times, different games. But baseball is so special for its records. It's hard.
It is hard. I
get what they're trying to do. I mean, it's a part of the game. It's a history of the game. I understand that Negro League was, back in the time, different era, different everything. It's just sort of like taking their records and like superimposing them over Major League Baseball records and saying, this is now our new record holder. Hold on a second. Wait, what? I didn't know about it till this morning. I didn't know this was happening till this morning.
I saw it. I just thought they were incorporating them in with like the Negro League wing or whatever it is.
Right, me too. Nope. It was
all one.
All one.
Baseball of that era.
Yep. And Rob, you're right. And the American National League records can't be counted because they didn't play each other until interleague play began. But they played in the World Series against each other, and they played the same number of games against each other. So like there was it was all in the same league. So I mean, I agree. They were denied a chance to play, and as soon as they got the chance, African Americans excelled, but different players doesn't make it a fair comparison. That's a fair point, Chris.
Right.
I mean, they were denied, and I feel like it's like not trying to revise history, but like we did, there was white America kept African American baseball players out of baseball. Like we can't change that. Like, we can't change what happened. It happened. It sucks. It's wrong. It was horrible, but we did it. So we're going to say like, well, let's say we did. Let's pretend like we didn't do it. Let's pretend like Major League Baseball wasn't racist, and let's pretend that Major League Baseball didn't ban them, and let's just take their records and now put them in our records, and it's all fine.
Does this affect, Jackie Robinson was a huge part of changing all of that, obviously. And now you're throwing in all the beginning stuff that existed before him. Does that do anything to his legacy or tarnish what his position in all of this?
It doesn't for me at all, but it's just one of those. I mean, the records are the records.
Right.
It is what Roger Long said it is what it was. Like it sucks, but it is what it was. Like you can't go back and change the fact that Jackie Robinson had to be, was brought in and was berated and had horrific things said and done to him while he was trying to integrate Major League Baseball.
Right.
And excelled in Major League Baseball. It's just, I don't know how I saw this and I was like, man, this is a little more difficult than just kind of like going like, snap your fingers and hey, all right, we're all good.
Like when you freeze.
Correct.
Snap your fingers, come back.
Yes.
Yep.
All
right.
Speaking of
the highest batting average in history of a season was Ty Cobb, but now it's Josh Gibson. Thanks. Okay. Boom. Change it. Blah, 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 blah.
I don't know. It's tough to go. Okay. Have
you ever been to the Hall of Fame?
Baseballs? No. Yeah. I've been to Basketball Hall of Fame.
Right.
And that's it. I've only been to Basketball Hall of Fame.
Yeah. I've never been. I've been to the Football Hall of Fame in Canton.
My family went up there every summer to go play in baseball tournaments. So they've all been up there a ton.
Yeah. My nephews are going to go at some point and play in that Cooperstown tournament.
Yeah. It's pretty neat. Watch your ears. BPS time. So the reason why we are here with the shirt on for the Brigade Proxy Service, and because we're here early, because we have some appointments we have to go take care of after the show is over. Yes. So it's just the beginning of what may be from time to time when we have people flying into town. We say, hey, we can only meet at this time. We got to go and figure it out. So just heads up on that. If you would like to be a part of the Brigade Proxy Service, you guys can text us 702-570-8255, or you can go to the bvbshow.com. Send an email if you have any questions. Look, the website's not expansive. It's not that difficult. It's a pretty simplistic thing. It's just a form to fill out. It goes to us. There's nobody else involved. It's Dave and me to sign you up. We have a back-end admin team that helps us do all of this stuff. Yep. But when it comes to signing up and who you're going to deal with on a day-to-day basis, it's me and Dave directly. There's nobody else. So don't worry about the website. The website is fine. Like, we'll take care of you. We got you. Okay. Website's not a problem. Doesn't need to be all splashy and fancy. We'll get the job done. We'll take care of you guys this coming football season. The Brigade Proxy Service. NFL story of the day, BPS. What do you make from a book perspective with the new kickoff rules?
I don't know.
Because
I saw this on the rundown and I went, I don't know.
Because Evan McPherson was talking yesterday at OTAs and he says it doesn't feel like football to him.
By the way, the number is 702-570-TALK.
Yes.
8255. I'm getting texts, people watching the shows. Remind everybody that it's talk at the end.
Okay. Just nobody will remember that, but okay. Yes.
570 talk. That's great. 702-570 talk.
Yes.
Doesn't feel like football. Is this fair?
Well, he says that he used to be all his practice time was spent on the trajectory, the launch angle, if you will, of the football. So it was all about height and distance. Kick it hot, kick it up, kick it far.
Correct.
Just kick the damn thing as far as I can kick the thing up into the air.
Right.
Give my guys enough time to get down and cover it. So if the wind knocks it down, we're going to cover it well.
Correct.
The new kickoff rules, if you guys haven't seen them, get ready because it's what the XFL did. It's not easy. It looks a lot different than what we've seen. He talked about it being more about finesse, saying he has to practice it. He said it's definitely interesting. It's all touch. It feels weird for me. I'm used to kicking it as high as I can, as hard as I can. Now I have to throw it inside the 5-yard line in some specific area. It's definitely an adjustment. You have to play the wind a lot more now. Like, remember that the rule is
okay. So it's not grip it and rip it. It's
a
get
9-iron.
we got to hit a 9-iron.
Yeah, it's not
Right?
a
We got to
driver.
loft it up and bend
spin
it
it.
left to right and get it in the corner a little bit so we could cover it better. What's
Yeah.
wrong with this?
So this is the new kickoff. Under the change adopted early this year, kickers kick the ball from their 35-yard line while the majority of the coverage team and return teams line up 5 yards away from each other at the other team's 35-yard line. They cannot move until the ball hits the ground or is fielded inside the 20 or the end zone. This is going to look bizarre, okay?
Wait, say that again. You can't.
you
do
watch-
what?
Did you watch the XFL last year at all?
Not one play.
Okay, so this is the XFL's kickoff. The teams are going to go on the 30 and the 40, okay? On
Okay.
either side of the 35-yard line on the receiving team side.
Yep.
The kicker is going to be behind back at the 35-yard line.
Okay.
The receiving team will either catch the ball or watch the ball go in the end zone. But the
Okay.
guys covering the kick can't move until one of those two things happen.
Oh,
Either I catch the ball, come tackle me, or it goes in the end zone for a touchback.
okay.
So there's no wedge. There's no running down the
Okay.
field full steam. There's none of that.
Huh.
You basically are guaranteed to start every drive on the 30-yard line. I think scoring is going to go way up in the NFL because of this.
Right. Opening drive.
I think scoring is going to be more drives will start north of the 35-yard line, and thus you're almost in field goal range. Like 2 plays, you're in field goal range. So I think you're going to see scoring go up because of this.
Oh, it's going to change that, like the pricing for will they score in the opening drive? The field goal or touchdown, punt or turnover. That pricing has to be changed.
Good point, Chef. The one thing I left off. If it bounces in the field of play and rolls into the end zone, it's a touchback at the 25-yard line, not the 35-yard line.
Oh, okay.
So you can pin them 10 yards back.
Okay.
It's not a formality anymore. I'll give you that, Kyle, but it is also just there's no more onside kicks. That's dead. That will never happen again. Like, goodbye. We got rid of that. You
They
can't.
got silly anyway at the end. Nobody was doing anything with them.
No, but they tried it. They just couldn't complete it. They couldn't
Right.
pull it off.
Yeah.
They stepped the rules up.
Huh. So I guess it's going to change stuff. I don't know. I mean, we'll have to affect totals. It's going to affect props at the beginning. First quarters are going to look a little bit different.
Your butcher the bookie don't like it.
Well, I mean, Butchie's old school. And a lot of people that are old school are not going to like this.
Oh, no.
They're not going to like it at all. It's
Okay,
gonna
right
look
now
very different.
in preseason, they're going to go, what the F am I watching?
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be something else. The reaction to people who are not prepared, like you, who didn't watch the XFL, who just turn it on, they're going to go, what did they do to kickoffs?
Right.
What did you guys do? Why did you do this? Because it looks
So
weird.
did anybody return kickoffs in the XFL?
Yeah, well, yeah. Touchdowns. I mean, for touchdowns, sure, they did. Yeah. Mhm.
Ask the chat. Ask the chat. Is this? Do you like the new kickoff rule? Yes or no? From what you know, I'm curious because a lot of people like kickoffs.
Oh, I think people are going to hate it. I think that
You think people are going to hate this rule?
I think they're going to absolutely hate it. I think they're going to feel just like McPherson. It doesn't look like football to them. I think people will adjust to it, but I think in the beginning, I don't think people are going to like it. They're going to feel like it's funky.
They're not going to like it, but it's going to increase scoring.
Yep.
Well, people will like that.
I would agree. Yep. I would agree. But people have to get used to it because it looks strange. I'm not going to deny. I watched the XFL games. It's like, that just looks weird. You have the kicker way behind by himself, kicking the ball over everyone's head, and you can't move till the ball gets touched or hits the ground.
So is the kickoff team that's covering the kick, are they all lined up except the kicker on the same yard line?
Yes, exactly. One straight line.
Right.
The 40-yard line of the receiving team.
Oh. Wow. So they're only 10 yards apart?
And then boom.
Okay, but at least it's only 10 yards instead of 30 head
Right,
start.
that's the idea. Right, so you can't get the full running head of steam, 200-pound guy going full speed at someone's been smacking him, hitting him hard.
Okay.
So that's why. We have a quick announcement to make here that we talked about Sports Trade actually with Chris Grove. Just kind of came up and popped up. We are excited to welcome Sport Trade as the new sponsor of Wednesdays. You guys are going to know today, every Wednesday from now through football, as Whale Watcher Wednesdays. I'm not going to spoil what Whale Watcher Wednesdays are about. We're going to kind of lay it all out next week, a bit as to what Whale Watcher Wednesday is. But we're psyched to welcome Sport Trade, and we're going to talk a lot about a lot of the stuff that they are doing and the stuff that they've got from an app perspective. You mentioned it. You've been friends with Alex Kane and company for a long time, and I think this is going to be really fun for us to have them be aboard and be a part of what we're going to do here for the next 6 months with them.
It's the whole conversation started with a chance meeting in Philadelphia, and Alex and the team at Sport Trade has been trying to build this, and you've heard people in the space talk about this exchange model and all these different things. And Alex has got a team that's booking the bets, and I'm all about the guys that are booking the bets. And this is going to be a nice way to bring people into this world and see what goes on. I'm already excited with the correspondence back and forth with the team at Sport Trade. I think this will be a fun weekly drop in. Yeah, Whale Place, Chef Benny. We're gonna talk about that. It's gonna be fun. You guys are gonna have a blast with it.
Yeah,
you're gonna learn about different things, and you're gonna see a lot of different things that are gonna be, I think, a different way of talking about the business, and a good way for us to differentiate ourselves a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which,
so
I don't think this will be tough to copy or mimic if anybody's watching that wants to do that.
Sport Trade is available in New Jersey. That was their first state. They're available in Iowa. That's their latest state that they launched. There could be additional states that they're looking to launch and be a part of. But like we've talked about other states, if you're in if you live in New York, you can go to New Jersey. If you live in Nebraska, you can go over to Iowa. Like, you have the ability to go ahead and go into those states and use Sport Trade. We'll tell you all about what Sport Trade does, how to get accounts, what you guys can do with Sport Trade. But looking forward in 1 week's time from now, on June the 5th, on that Wednesday, every Wednesday for the rest of 2024, Whale Watcher Wednesdays will begin with Sport Trade. We are extremely excited and thankful for Alex and his great team. We can't wait to talk to all of them about what they're doing in their app and everything else. So if you want to get a jump start, go download the Sport Trade app right now, and we'll get going next week with those guys here a week from today. All right, baseball, 2 games involving your Pirates. They're expecting no offense in this doubleheader here between these two teams. You got both of your stud pitchers going.
Yeah.
Pirates need to win both these games, do they not? Jones goes in game 1 against Skubal, but Skubal is favored with the Tigers.
Tigers
6.5. Have you seen many 6.5s? I haven't seen many 6.5s in Major League Baseball this season. That's low.
It is. It's 3-0 in the 5th.
Okay. Who?
Tigers.
Oh, okay.
Starting to develop a pattern for Jones.
No run support.
They don't score when he pitches, and again, that could be the way it's lining up. But
scored 3 in the first, J-Dow. Dang. Yep. Okay. So what do we do in the second game?
They only got 3 hits.
What's the second game? Because Montero's not very good, and you got Paul Skeens. You got the stud of of Major League Baseball.
You got to bet Skeens. First 5, so you don't get aggravated, because the bullpen has let him down. But, Skeens for the game, -135. Wow. Holy crap.
You're going to hate me for this, but
what?
Bet the over. They
first
score.
Game goes under, second game goes over. I'm not opposed to that.
I bet the over. I think
the Pirates may score.
They do. That's what I mean. The Pirates score for Skeens. When he's on the mound, there's extra juice in that clubhouse.
And the second game, a doubleheader, the Scooble's lefty. Montero, pitcher for the Tigers, is righty.
Yeah.
Second game. I got to look at the splits, but yeah, I think Pirates an over for game 2, but I wouldn't be opposed to first 5.
Okay. Yeah,
I
looked at. I was waiting for it. It wasn't out last night. I would have bet it. I was looking. I just said, you know what? Bet the over. It wasn't out last night because the Tigers launched a pitcher. They announced it this morning who was pitching in game 2.
Right.
So I couldn't bet it overnight. So I just bet the over 7.5. Every game for Skeens has been in double figures total wise. So
if I had time and a budget, I would have gone to Detroit to see this 2-game series.
Really?
Seen the
Watch
boys.
both.
Yeah, I've never been
pitcher?
to Detroit. I wanted to go see JPC the 4th, Daniel G, the boys, everyone watching the show there. We appreciate the hell out of all of our Michigan crew.
Definitely.
I got to get on that about the hats with the Michigan stuff.
Ooh,
it's going to pay me to make that Michigan Wolverines one.
Why? Defending that champs.
Here we go. Please, it's too early for this. Don't give me this stuff.
I'm in love with it. I mean, hey, I called it. It's one of my best future bets I've ever made in my life.
It's fun when you win those. It's fine.
It's fun when you place a bet in what, August to win it all. And they win it all.
Yeah.
That's fun when you can pick that right and bet that and have that hit. That's the first time it's ever happened for me. I've never bet a future like that to have it come across actually cash. It was sick. So
it was good.
I like Michigan now. I'm a Wolverine.
I mean, if I got to pick between Michigan and Ohio State, it's not even a decision.
Yeah, I like blue anyways. I prefer blue over red anyway. So
give
the
boys and girls something in the chat to vote on in that. If you had to pick one, is it Michigan or Ohio State? Who do you root for in that situation? You have to vote. I know it pains the people that are like, I hate them both.
They both should die. Drop a bomb on both states.
Right. Yeah.
I know. I've heard of Iowa fans. That's Iowa. Iowa fans are that way.
Well, that's what I mean. We got a lot of Midwest people.
Iowa people were like, can you bury both states and never have it? Can you take the big house and the horseshoe and drop them off of the cliff? Like they hate them both.
They hate them both. That's fine. But you have to
see, he comes in with Purdue.
I see, Vinny. I understand it's Purdue. Like I'm the Penn State guy, right? So, okay.
Oh, wow. It's 6-0.
Penn State can't beat either one of them.
Tigers are up 6-0. Whoo, hello.
Oh, must have been.
Look out.
Was that a 3-run bomb? Damn it.
Dang. Jones got hit hard
It's okay.
today.
Skeens is going to win game 2.
3-run home run. Woo.
Yeah. So if I got to pick between the two, it usually ends up with me picking Michigan.
Okay. Imanaga against Wilson. Total of 7.5. Cubs favored -140 here.
You want to bet against Imanaga?
I bet the under.
Oh.
Wilson's good. Cubs can't hit. Wilson's good. And Imanaga is psychotic.
7.5. Has he faced the Brewers once already?
Don't think so, no.
I don't think so.
They're not seeing Imanaga yet.
Yeah.
0.87 ERA.
Cubs aren't hitting at all. Under got to be the play. I got to go check the numbers as far as whether he pitched against them or not, because I think the second time through they can get him, but if it's the first time through, nah. Cubs. At least him pitching good. First 5 under, game under, something like that.
Did you see what happened in the Cub game yesterday?
I did not.
1-0. Here. Sorry, Will. Here in your fucking Ghost Runner. I didn't bet this, so I'm not. But this is pathetic. It's 1-0 Cubs. We go to the 9th inning. Total is 7.5.
Okay.
1-0. Brewers tie the game up.
1-1.
We go to 10. We go to the 10th.
Extras.
Cubs score 5.
Oh,
it's 7. Hold on. It's 7. It's 7. Brewers scored 2 in the 10th.
Oh!
6-3 final. Game goes over 7.5 and 8. Both numbers were available in the market.
Love that Ghost Runner.
Are you kidding me? They scored 7 runs in extras in 1 inning, not like a long prolonged. In 1 inning, they scored 7 runs to blow that under. I mean, if you were on the under, you're running really rough right now. Like, I feel for you. Like, you can't get a bet right if that's, you had that thing handicapped absolutely perfect and you got destroyed. Just absolutely destroyed.
That beat right there, son.
Kicked to the donkey nuts there. That's brutal.
Dead under.
You were asking about has Imanaga faced the Brewers yet this year? And the answer is no. He's faced in the month of May. Imanaga has given up 2 earned runs in 26 innings worth of work.
Oh.
Yeah. 4 starts, 1-0, 2-0, 3-2, 1-0 in the month of May for Imanaga. They don't score for him. They don't score right. No, Butchie, I did not have it. I did not have it.
Butchie, did you have it?
Did you have it? I did not.
Probably needed the under.
I had the Braves under yesterday. I had Braves 2-0 win.
That was good. Yeah, we talked about that.
I had that under. I did not have the Cubs under for that, but I like the under in this game. And then this is Dave, Butchie, all you bookmakers. There aren't many times that I feel this confused about a line. Has anyone looked at Lugo's numbers on the road?
Have you looked at the Royals last however many times they've played in Minnesota?
What does it matter?
They don't win there. They didn't win there last night.
I mean, the number makes no sense. I'm not guaranteeing anything. This number makes absolutely no sense. They've lost 3 games in a row, both to Minnesota. This is the game they would win, is it not? Seth Lugo is 8-1 with a 1.74 ERA, but it gets even better. Seth Lugo on the road is 5-0 with a 0.75 ERA, an opposing batting average of 145 in 36 innings worth of work. He gives up 3 earned runs. And he's this big of a dog?
Well, no, I get minus 130. Yeah, minus 130. I don't know where you...
I got plus 110 last night. I got a worse number that's available right now.
Yeah, I mean, minus 130 is plus 118 in a lot of places. I forgot to ask Chris that about whether the prices would change, or does he think prices will change with these tax increases? Because minus 130 used to be plus 120 on the back end, and now it's plus 118.
Bailey Ober in his last 4 starts has given up 4-2, 0-5, and 2 earned runs. The team is 3-2 with him pitching. He goes about 5 innings and hand things over to the bullpen.
Right.
Which has been okay for the Twins.
So you're saying take the Royals today.
I just don't understand this number. I just don't understand how they're plus 118 dogs with Lugo on the mound.
Would you feel better if it was minus 110 both sides?
Yes. I mean, I think the Royals should be favored.
Oh, whoa.
I mean, I would either minus 110, minus 115.
This is
Lugo should be favored. Ober's not very good. Bailey Ober's ERA of 4.33.
You think this game closes pick?
I don't know. It's going either way. It was up and now it's coming back down. It got as high as 140 this morning. Now you tell me it's lower, so it's coming back down.
Yeah, I see openers of 130 and I see it staying 130 on my screen.
This morning it was 140. So now it's 130.
Must have been playing with that. I don't know.
Overnight, I was like, this seems like a head fake. What are we giving? Why are the Royals favored? Or why are the Twins favored with Lugo on the mound? First 5? Like, what? Do not understand.
What's the total? 7.5.
Yep.
Boy, that's low.
It's Lugo. I mean, 0.75 ERA on the road.
American League games, 7.5. I mean, we're seeing a different baseball now. I mean, look at the totals in baseball. Is it 7, 7.5, 7?
6.5. Your game 1 was 6.5.
That's absurd.
6.5. Like, what are we doing? 6.5 is crazy.
Yeah. Well,
super.
It's probably headed over. And then you go to Colorado and you have an 11. But everything else is low today. Wow. There are a lot of low totals, P-Roll. Under? Lugo and Ober? Under?
Maybe.
7.5? Guess
Probably. But, I mean, the Royals' bats get hot and hit him. I mean, he gave up 5 earned runs and an 11-4 loss on the road to Cleveland 2 starts ago.
There's no shame in that. Cleveland's one of the best teams in baseball.
Yep. 4 earned runs in 6 innings given up to the White Sox.
Got to go to Cleveland and get that
It's 7-0 Detroit now. Woo, over
City
clears
Connect,
by
yeah.
themselves. They got the total over themselves.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a shot, a little too low.
What's
A
this
game?
hat? What's this hat? This is a gift from Covey. This is Charleston's minor league
That's
team.
Charleston hat.
This is the Covey
Yeah,
gift.
like it.
Yeah,
I gotta wear mine. I will definitely wear mine when he comes to sign up for the contest.
Yeah, this is
I wear mine out.
This is a gift from Chris Covey.
Yeah, Cubby brought hats
on these things. Okay, let's do. Yeah, let's do this.
Let's do this.
Let's do better to book it. We can roll through this and get it all in on one. We discussed these pretty much, but I like over 7.5 in game 2 with the Pirates game 2 as well to go over.
I like the Pirates. I don't know if it goes over. I'll say book this one. I'd like the opposite. A lot of times, what happens in the first game, opposite happens in the second game.
So second game,
Detroit and over. So I go Pirates, and I'm leaning under, but I don't know. I got to see the lineups.
Okay, under 7.5 Cubs Brewers.
Yes, bet.
Okay,
Imanaga
and like Royals money line.
I'll book this. I'll trust the line. That might be the dog of the day that doesn't get there. Might be the dog of the day that wins too.
Okay.
But this is what you're supposed to do in this business. When you disagree with the line, you play it and see the results.
Yeah,
wow. I just looked down at the results of the poll so far. People don't like Ohio State in general, huh?
No one likes Ohio State.
Like nobody.
Nobody.
Damn.
Yeah,
sorry, Ohio.
Well, I mean, they're used to it.
Man. Uh-oh.
It's fine. Someone's at the door. It was going crazy.
Someone's at the door?
Yeah, sorry. Speaking dogs of the day, someone's saying it's my dog. Sorry. Yeah, people are not supposed to knock on doors, but they're knocking on doors.
That's
so
fine.
It's supposed to stay where they are. But
somebody knock on our door yesterday.
Yeah, I was late for you.
Yeah, the kids left the garage open.
Oh, that was nice of them to tell you.
Just be careful ringing somebody's doorbell at 11:30 at night.
What are you going to do? Tell you that not have
No, that was good, but like, you know, I was like, who is at the door at 11:30 at night?
Okay. And then finally, I think Edmonton wins game 4. We're not talking about this game yet. Edmonton against Dallas.
I think you're right, but I'm going to book it because Dallas has been so good on the road.
They have.
And I just can't get over the losing of the leads. Like I was going to wear the Oilers stuff tonight on the show, and I still might, but I think I'll book this one. Edmonton could win, but if you back me into the corner and say you have to only pick one, I'm taking Dallas tonight. I'll sit in the book guy's corner and go, okay, let him bet it.
I think there's a zigzag theory here at work.
Yep.
I think that there is an opportunity for Edmonton. Skinner hasn't had like back-to-back bad games. Butching body parts already.
Yeah. This is one of those things. This is
he needs Dallas for body parts.
No, he needs Edmonton for body parts.
Everyone's on Dallas today.
Yeah, this will be the Dallas side will be the public side.
Really?
Oh, yeah, it was the other night. It was in game 3. Yes, Dallas, the undefeated or the play on the road, all that stuff. It's real.
But okay, like, I thought zigzag theory would come into play.
But you have to find a reason to bet Edmonton, don't you?
Well, the zigzag theory is one reason, and then Skinner not to be back. I mean, home team, backs against the wall. You came down 3-1. You go down 3-1 back to Dallas, you're dead. It's over. This game is this is the season.
But she said he's using 25 minus 125 trying to get Edmonton money,
and he can't get it.
No.
Interesting. It's like last night. I was on the T-Wolves money line. Everybody was on. I mean,
I just wanted that to end.
Everyone's on Dallas.
When we did it
everyone
better
Dallas. I was like,
I
I
just
was
hope
going like,
Dallas wins because
I was waiting. Can someone? Am I the only one on the Timberwolves? Like, what is going on? Like, everybody's on Dallas. I'm like, what? Like, the game's been close at the end. Like, are we just automatically just assuming that like there's no way they can close a game?
Done with it, please.
No, I think that's going 6.
No, I think it might now. Yeah,
T-Wolves
5.5.
5. I think we're going back. We're going back to Dallas.
Yeah,
we're gonna have game 6, and then like look out. All I'm saying is, look, if we're going to a game 7, I'm not. T-Wolves aren't dead. I mean, that's a team that's so young and inexperienced. They don't know any better. Like, they're just like, whatever, let's go play. Like, we lost a couple of games, so what? Like, they don't know what history is. I mean, Anthony Edwards is not like, I can't come back down 3-0. Why not? Like, why can't I? No one's ever done it. So what?
Did you see him tell Micah Parsons he'll bring him back a nice pair of shoes for game 6? I'll be back.
It's great.
It's great. I love the banter back and forth.
It's phenomenal.
And again, Minnesota could win. There's no shoe-in that they can't. So there's no shoe-in that Edmonton can't win.
I like Edmonton tonight. So I don't know. Total, I have no idea. Do you have a feeling on the total? 4-2 seems right.
Over again.
Over. Ooh, okay. I think 4-2 sounds right. 6 goals sounds right to me. Maybe a 3-2 open net, 4-2 final.
If Edmonton's going to win, they got to play that road game like they did in Dallas. They have to play that road game at home. They can't get caught up in trying to do too much. They have to. I mean, they dominated periods in this series, and they're down 2-1. Like, they just have to play that way the whole game. And Skinner's got to make. 4-2. He doesn't have to make all the saves. He just has to make the timely save.
Butchie says 4-2 Edmonton. So we'll see.
Go.
Interesting. Favorite thing about today is what? We're going to do this whole show directly on Sports Grid and on SiriusXM today.
Outstanding. Yesterday, I talked about going to the doctor and getting the heart monitor and all this other stuff. And I surprised my wife with flowers. I went to the florist shop because today is 20 years.
Congratulations. That's amazing.
That's
you don't do many fucking things 20 years, man. That's congratulations. That's awesome. 20 years doing anything that's amazing. Congratulations.
20 years. And I the reason I did it yesterday, because she'd be expecting it today. And the ability to keep it unexpected and different little surprises and different little things. I got her. It was good. I showed up with the flowers, and everybody in the office was like, "What are you doing here?" But I usually bring pizza and other things. I said, "No, I brought flowers because tomorrow is our 20-year anniversary." And my wife's like, "Why are you not bringing them tomorrow?" And I'm like, "Because you were expecting them tomorrow." I brought them today. And it all worked out. So, it's the biggest bet I ever made in my life when I was, fresh off of living in Curacao and then moved to Phoenix and was living the life of Riley, coming to Vegas 6 times a year, gambling and doing all this stuff. And, she walked back into my life, and I've told the story before. Within 18 months, I was engaged. We were pregnant. We had a kid. We got married, and we had a second kid. And it was a whirlwind. And I told her 20 years ago, this is a pick'em. I mean, this is we're a pick'em. Like, I'll maybe make you minus 130 because of certain things, but I hope we make it to 5. I can't wait to make it to 10. Anything over 15 is great, and today's 20. And it's just, we've been through a lot of ups and downs. Awesome. We've been together, and it's a special day. You talk about making bets that win.
Cash that ticket.
Cash the ticket, man. 20 years.
Congratulations. That's tremendous. I'll make it quick because we got to let go of Sports Grid and SiriusXM here in just 1 second. But my whole life, not whole life, but when I had Madeline, I always thought, how am I going to handle the birds and the bees conversation? Had it for the first time last night in the drive-through, getting food late night. She said something about a song. She laughed about a lyric in a song, and I turned the music down. And I turned over and I said, "What do you know about sex?" And we got into an hour and a half long conversation, and it was I knew one day I'd have that conversation.
Yep.
I think I handled it fairly well.
Yep.
as a dad and
Yep.
having a daughter and having a 9-year-old, and we don't have the same hardware that they've got. So trying to explain the two things and what goes on, and something she wanted nothing to do with. She wanted no conversation about anything to do with guys.
Nope.
Nothing. But she wanted to ask some different questions, in the whole "where do babies come from" talk.
Oh yeah.
That happened last night. So it was a long conversation with a lot of questions,
Fair.
but I knew at some point in my life I was going to have that with my daughter, and to have it last night was without it. Yes, Kevin, she knew way more than I thought, and way more. I know, way more. But just the fact that I opened that line of communication is a moment that I think her face went like red, white, like her heart. She went through like 8 emotions in the first 2 minutes of when I turned the music down, and I looked back and I went, "What do you know about sex?" It was just like, wee, here we go. So that was my favorite thing about today, that my daughter and I were able to do that late night last night. Everybody, thank you. We're signing off from everybody today. We appreciate you being here. We got to go check out the Brigade Proxy Service. You guys can go and sign up for the Brigade Proxy Service, thebvbshow.com. He's Dave. I'm Matt. We're back tomorrow for a Thursday's Beat.
Normal time
tomorrow.